all things considered, even with the weather outside, what's been the past couple of days been like for y'all and just kind of resetting and getting things together?
Well, I mean, we did a lot of prep work yesterday and watched a lot of film on Oklahoma State and just talked about, the games that we have left on our schedule and very winnable and how we wanted to approach them. We've got to let the Baylor game go, obviously learn from it, but we've got to let it go and we've got to focus our attention on Oklahoma State, which is a very winnable game. But we're going to have to really respond well and make sure that our minds are right and that we are hungry to get back in the win column.
And then against Baylor, it seemed like Deja got in a little earlier than usual as far as just getting more playing time. Can you comment on the growth of those three post players, especially when, obviously conference play isn't easy, but for them coming in, learning against those other post players?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we knew we were going to have to go big against Baylor because they're just so big. And so we were going to definitely have to go to them early. Kyla had been out of practice the last 2 days before that, just tending with her knee. And obviously we got that back on track. And so I thought it opened a door for Deja to get in early. But I think all three of those kids, and I actually just sang their praises to them a little bit yesterday because I felt like against Baylor, they tried really hard to do what we asked them to do. And sometimes they were successful and sometimes they weren't. But you could tell that they were focused on trying to, get them off the block, trying to battle on the boards, just trying to be tougher. And that's what we need those three kids to do. We just have, they're our only size. So we have to keep asking them to just get tougher and tougher and tougher. And I was proud of them, and I think they're learning a lot this year.
And statistically, obviously, Hattie seems to be having the most success, but for those, all three of them, and you can speak to each one individually, but where have you seen just the biggest growth in them so far this season?
I think it is the toughness. I think them understanding that it's really more about defense for us, for them to get on the floor than it is about anything else. We need them to be a defensive presence in the paint. We need them to rebound. I think Hattie has done a really good job, particularly the last probably 3 or 4 games, of trying to get on the offensive glass for us. Even against Baylor, she was battling really, really hard, to try to get just a hand on something. And she's gotten a couple of fouls doing it, but I've really challenged all three of those kids to use their fouls just so that they know they're trying to be physical. I told them, I was like, if you're never getting a foul called on you in the post, you're not being near physical enough. And just trying to get them to understand how physical Big 12 play is. But I think Hattie's really understanding what we, just how much we need her to get a hand on a shot, a block shot. Obviously scoring it inside some. I mean, we do need them to do that, but their focus just can't be on that alone. I think Deja has done a good job of trying to be more physical, and Deja is really a smart basketball player. Like, she understands the offense. She understands where she needs to be. And I think she does a good job of finishing shots when her guards find her. She's been on the receiving end multiple times on a guard penetration when her man helps over, and she's finishing that for us. And then I think Kyla, same thing. I thought Kyla had a nice move against Baylor, and she scored it inside. I think they have to realize when they have position to go up or when they need to kick it back out or save a possession for us. But all three of them, I think, are just trying to learn as much as they can about physicality. I mean, it's just crazy how physical and big the Big 12 is. I mean, the Big 12 has big post players.
All right. The team that you started out the 2021 part of your campaign with Oklahoma State, where are they similar? Have they changed a little bit in the a little over a month since you played them? And what do you guys need to do better than that first time around?
Yeah, I think Oklahoma State's playing really well. I know they just came off of a loss against Texas, but part of that was because Mac was injured in the second quarter, and that was the game. I mean, that's when Texas drew their lead out, and Oklahoma State had to play catch up the rest of the time. I just think that they're playing really well together. I think Jamie Asbury runs their offense really well, and she's just scores the ball with a lot of ease, in my opinion. And that was where we really struggled in the first time that we played them. I mean, one of our emphasis was to have a high hand on her all the time. And I think the second pass of the game, she knocks down a three, and she's wide open, like nobody's even around her. And I'm like, clearly that's a lack of focus, and we can't start like that. And I think our team has learned from that. I do think that we've done a little bit better job of that. But I think Mac draws a lot of attention, and you've got to be focused on limiting her touches. But I think Jamie Asbury is the key. We've got to find a way to slow her down.
You talked about the growth from your bigs. How much does every week that they're able to grow allow you to maybe trust them to go one-on-one against a player like Mac on defense, to where you don't really have to sag off players?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, it is about playing early. When you're a post player, especially on defense, you have to play early, and you have to anticipate two passes ahead, because great post players are positioning themselves a pass ahead before they receive the ball. And if you're already caught behind, or you're already pinned, or you're already too high, you're going to get exploited really quickly and badly. And even if you have help coming. So to me, they have to really anticipate, and you can't rest on defense. You can't rest when the ball's away from you. Like, you have to continuously know where those post players are and battle with them before they get the ball. And I think that's where our kids are getting better, but they still have a ways to go. And that's, that's true at any level. But it's particularly true when you come from high school into Division I, Power 5, Big 12 at that, because they're used to being the biggest players on the court in high school. And then all of a sudden, not only are they not the biggest, they're not the best either, and you're playing against kids that are about to play in the WNBA. So they're getting their eyes opened quite a bit, but I've been super proud of their effort, of their coachability. They've been so coachable. And they're trying, they're trying really hard, and there's not a lot you can do when someone might have 20, 30 pounds on you, and in muscle. I mean, it's in muscle because they've been in the weight room for 4 years, whereas our kids have been in the weight room. Our freshmen have been in the weight room for 6 months. So it's a big deal.
Coach, only 4 games sort of left on this, regular season schedule for you guys. How important is it to sort of, get out some of these wins to not only build momentum towards the end of the season, but also towards the Big 12 championships?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. Every game we play is important. The fewer there are on your schedule, the more important they become, especially when you need to get wins. Like I said, I think every game left on our schedule is very winnable. But it's going to take some extreme focus and extreme effort. And our mindset has to be right. I mean, I think it could be real easy for us to I think it could be real easy for any team to possibly take a deep breath, kind of go, oh, it's getting closer to the end, whatever. But that's not who this team is. That's not how we want to run our program. And what the difference to me is as well is that the opportunity for postseason. Like, they have to be mature and understand that there's still an opportunity for postseason. And part of that postseason is the Big 12 tournament, but it's also after that as well. I mean, they have a chance to position themselves to try to get into the NCAA, WNIT, something. And so, we want to get better every single day. And we all know that this is a practice year? Not really, but everybody gets the year back. So there's not anybody that's playing their last few games of basketball. Like, they got to continue to get better.
Talked about Natasha getting a lot of the headlines for Oklahoma State, but Jamie being the key. Is it a little bit easier to get that message across when she had 28 against you the first time than maybe if Natasha would have gone off?
Oh, our girls know. Trust me, they know. They know what the performance was. They know the lack of defensive performance that we had on Jamie particularly. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows that Mac has to draw some attention. She's very good at what she does. But great teams, and particularly in the Big 12, I think that's what's separating, that probably the top 4 or 5 teams from the rest of the bunch is they have more than one. They've got multiple threats that you have to be able to defend. And I've always said everybody's great offense always starts through the point guard, because transition, you have to get her stopped first. So our attention has to go to Jamie Asbury tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
I have one more question, Coach. With this game being the Play for K, how important is it to you to be a part of that and sort of celebrate that as well as help with the cause?
Yeah, the Play for K game is super important to not only me but everyone in our locker room. We've had multiple people in our locker room that have been directly impacted by breast cancer, and it's an ongoing fight for all of us, for all of us women particularly. And we really talk a lot. I've always talked a lot with my team. When you just talk statistics alone, 1 in 10, 1 in 13 women will develop breast cancer of some sort. And when you count the number of women that are in our locker room, it's going to be somebody in our locker room. And so it's really important that we're all aware, that we make sure that we're proactive, that we do our annual checkups and mammograms, and that we take it very seriously. And we can't have the mindset of, well, it won't happen to me. So tomorrow is a big day for all of us, but particularly us women. And I think it's a great, great cause. And I love the way that Lady Raider Nation responds. And I want to make sure that you guys acknowledge how much money we raise tomorrow, because I think you'll be a little surprised. I'm pretty excited and pretty proud of Lady Raider Nation so far.